Welcome to Chat and Chai with moi, your host, Karishma Bazday. This is the space where we aim to empower and inspire women through other women's stories. So if that sounds like your vibe, then girl, you found your tribe. So grab your cup of chai, get comfy, and get ready to be inspired. My guest today forms an integral part of my personal tribe. She is the most knowledgeable person I know when it comes to pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and women's hormones. She has helped me tremendously on my journey, and I cannot wait to sit in conversation with her today and share her magic with all of you. So without further ado, I introduce you to Kheryne Danu. So now I want to talk about my favorite subject, possibly yours, motherhood and birth and postpartum. I know, and it excites me so much because this has been the woman that has been my rock, like my absolute rock through my entire pregnancy and birth and postpartum journey. And I can tell you with all honesty that I would not be sitting here like I am without her in my life. So I hope you know that, and I hope you know.
I do know that.
How much that so often, Gail and I, like something would happen in the day, or we'll have conversations like this about birth and postpartum, and I go like, do you know how fucking lucky we are? like with honest, just like the most incredible amount of reverence. We were so lucky to have you and Ruth and Erwan and like just our birthing team, you know?
Yeah, that was a kick-ass team.
That was insane. Okay.
And Lana.
Yes, and Lana. I know. Just the most amazing team ever to bring my baby into the world.
Oh, no. Oh, it was such an honor. You do realize you're the only person that I've been on the journey with from pre-pregnancy, fertility, pregnancy, birth. I was at your birth.
Wow.
And at your postpartum. And yeah.
That's amazing.
You're the only one I've done the whole journey with. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
Because technically I wasn't doulaing anymore at that point.
I know.
You know.
And you said yes to me.
I did.
I know.
It was perfect.
Okay, so where do we start?
I don't know.
Okay, let's start at your pregnancy.
Okay.
At 40?
Yes.
Huge.
Huge.
To a lot of people going, what the heck? You know?
Absolutely.
So how did you approach that?
So from all of my years of adrenal fatigue and reproductive issues and this, that, and the other, I didn't feel like I would ever be a mom because I didn't feel like I had the energy. All of my friends, I've got an incredible tribe around me, and I've watched them for 20 years birth and parent so beautifully, and I realized how much it took to be a really present parent. And then my daughter decided to arrive all by herself, and we were like, oh, right, okay, we're doing this.
This is happening, yeah.
This is happening. And I was so blessed to have been part of the birth world for so long. The easy part for me was knowing who my team was going to be, knowing I was going to birth at home, knowing my backup choices, all of that. The hard part was 3 months of radical morning sickness.
Okay.
Whew. I was very blessed. My partner said I didn't need to work. I was a journalist beforehand, and he said, like, you don't need to go back to work for the pregnancy.
Okay.
Huge.
Right.
Honestly, every woman, if you can have that, then do that, because I would never have survived working through that first three months. But then after the first trimester, everything got super easy and wonderful, and I loved every moment of pregnancy.
Right.
I was also blessed that my partner was an osteopath, so I got to be worked on whenever my body needed it.
Bless.
So we do go through quite radical changes in our physiology as we grow an entire human being.
Right.
But what I didn't realize was going to happen so much in the pregnancy was the waves of inner child unravelings and lineage, looking at my lineage and seeing what didn't work. I'd done quite a lot of that in my life, and I thought I was quite clear on what I was taking on and what I was choosing to step away from in the story of my ancestry. I didn't realize how much more was going to come up during the pregnancy, and it makes perfect sense. You need to prepare for how you're going to hold yourself and your child once they come into the world.
That was the first thing you told me. He was like, my love, do the work now.
Yeah.
You were like, there's no time to do the work when you have a kid, and that's the ultimate truth. There is no time to do the work. And
yet you still have layers and layers and layers to work through as a parent. So get as much out the way beforehand as possible.
Yes, exactly. Get as much out of the way. Because, I mean, ultimately, our children are our biggest teachers, right?
Absolutely, without question.
Yeah.
So I was very blessed that my birth went well, that I was at home with my partner, who is also trained as a doula, so I didn't have another doula, and my midwife, who I'd known a long time. And we had one candle on in the whole house, and I had a very intense labor, but a very peaceful labor at the same. Labor is always intense.
Right. Exactly.
This is the thing. We can't. It is a rite of passage. You are bringing a human through your body. It's going to be intense.
Yes.
But it was a very, very peaceful experience and physically easy. You know. Right. As far as birthing a human.
Yeah. Exactly. Can be.
Yeah. And my big challenge was the breastfeeding. Right. So my child didn't have a latch, or proper latch, and we didn't realize, and it was the first time my midwife had not seen that the baby wasn't getting any milk. Wow. So after 6 days, she lost her voice from dehydration. And it took me a long time to unravel the guilt around that from somebody who'd been around births for 20 years. And yet I knew nothing about breastfeeding. And the one piece of advice I'd listened to by an expert was the wrong piece of advice. Otherwise, I would have been asking questions earlier.
Right.
And people who came to visit, there were a few people I invited in that first week, and they all just said, how's the breastfeeding going? Fine.
Yeah.
I don't know that babies aren't supposed to scream nonstop for 3 hours. I didn't ever spend time around a mother for a long more than like 3 or 4 hours.
Right, exactly.
I don't know what's normal.
Yeah.
So with all of my experience, and my partner works with babies, the father of my child works with babies every day, all of his experience, neither of us had a clue what was normal and what the telltale signs were. So,
and also I think it is such a intense, madly
there's so much going on.
Time, you know, not just like the first, 40 days or whatever, but those first few days.
The first few days are the
most... You don't know whether you're coming or going, especially as a first-time parent, you're trying to figure out so much. And then as a woman, I think you're trying to recalibrate yourself in so many ways.
It's like, who am I?
Who am I? What just happened? Like, you're trying to process everything and then trying to keep a human being alive.
This is the thing. You're trying to process what just happened, where you're at now, body's trying to heal, and you're trying to keep a human being alive that is 100% reliant on you.
Exactly.
It's like, no pressure.
And a human being, like, you don't know. You don't know their telltale signs. You don't know what this means and that, like,
you're still trying to read them and learn
everything. So it's flippin' radical.
No, it's crazy.
You know?
Yeah. And it's so, people are like, oh, sweet, you've got a baby, lovely, here's a balloon. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much.
We are taking a quick break to talk about today's sponsor, Kiko Vitals. Kiko Vitals is created by an incredible, heart-centered, intuitive boss babe, Kheryne Danu. Their mission is to help all women balance their hormones and heal their gut so that they can live a deeply nourished and intuitive life. Now, I have to say, I have been taking Kiko Vitals for quite a few months now, and they have been making such a huge difference. I love all of their products, but I think especially their pre and probiotic is such a standout product for me because it's not often that you get prebiotic mixed into your probiotic, and it is so essential for helping your microbiome function properly, which is so integral to our entire well-being. And then the next game changer for me has to be their debloat and gut glow. Ladies, this one is beyond incredible. If you suffer from bloating, gas, if you just feel really uncomfortable, this is the product that you need. It works instantly. It makes such a huge difference, and I will honestly never be without this product. And then their hormone balance is such a great mix of incredible natural products to help balance your hormones. And I have to be honest, I've only been taking this regularly quite recently because I've been experiencing some intense PMS. And it has already made such a huge difference. So thank you to Kiko Vitals for sponsoring this episode. And ladies, get your hands on all 3 of these products as soon as you can.
Yeah, so postpartum is definitely my biggest passion now. I mean, birth is also my big passion, just in the sense of it is such a powerful moment for a mother to come into her motherdom.
Right.
The mother is born when the baby is born.
Yep.
So for me, it's not about what kind of birth you have, it's about an empowered birth. So when I work with clients, I love taking them through that support process during their pregnancy of, really looking at those fears and doing the gentle inner child work and start formulating what it is for them to experience an empowered birth.
Yeah.
Okay, as an individual. There is no, everybody must do this.
Yes, exactly.
So I am still incredibly passionate about that, but the moment you're holding that baby, not only are you as vulnerable as that baby in those first months, which nobody tells you.
No.
No, your hormones have just done a flip-flop from progesterone, estrogen surging through the roof to none at all, and oxytocin, prolactin running your brain.
Right.
It's like 180-degree flip. And you have
Exactly.
to take care of a tiny, vulnerable human that can't speak or do anything for itself.
Anything, right?
So I feel like postpartum has become like the black hole of the Western world. Like nobody has any energy or attention for it.
This was our conversation the other day, that there's so much attention put on pregnancy and birth.
Yeah.
And then nothing on...
Here's your baby, off you go.
Baby. And okay. And it's no wonder, women are struggling so much, and
So much.
postpartum depression, and all of these things that... And another friend of mine who's a doula said something really wise to me. She says, what you do on day 3 impacts what your week 3 looks like, and what you do in week 3 impacts what your 3 months looks like. And it's this knock-on effect.
Yeah. Again, building the resources.
Exactly.
When most women have no community, no support, they have no idea what those resources are.
Exactly.
And what I realized about postpartum anxiety, I mean, it's a massive subject. There's so many factors that can trigger postpartum anxiety, but one of the main things is that we are wired to be part of a village. Our nervous system and our hormone structure and our entire way as a woman, we're wired to, if you can imagine a circle of women back to back. So you literally have these women have your back. You have all these other eyes. If you look back to the primal times where the men are off hunting and the women are alone with the children, we need to pick up if there's a predator.
Right.
We need to feel if things are safe or not safe. You need a group of nervous systems and a group of hands to take care of the mother, to take care of the mother's environment so she can be present for the baby, and protect the tribe, and forage and get the food and bring everything. It takes a whole village. where when a mom is isolated by herself at home, she's the only one reading that baby all day. She's the only one taking care of herself. She's the only one picking up if things are safe or not safe. Like taking your baby to a supermarket.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the amount of bombardment your nervous system has. So it's so easy to go into hypervigilance of, is the baby okay? Is the baby okay? Is the baby okay? Because you're the only one holding the village.
That,
exactly.
Right.
So when I saw that visual, I was like, oh, if it really came to me when my child started crawling, the image of her being able to crawl out the front door. The door's open, all the other huts are around. There are adults outside, there are small children, there are teenagers. I watch and I wait and I see somebody sees my child crawl outside. They indicate that they've got her, and I can turn my back and relax my entire nervous system.
Exactly.
Because somebody else has got her for that moment.
Yeah.
I can go lie down, I can make food, I can clean the house, and I know that they'll bring her back when she needs me.
Yeah.
And she's right there, I can hear her.
That's huge.
It's huge. It is radically huge. So this is where my passion for postpartum and bringing the nervous system work into that, and the nutrition and the sleep and the hormones. And I mean, it's
like
also
like my big thing around that is, it's so important, it's so needed, but it's also been this hard thing for me to find other mamas who parent like I do.
So this is one of the other
trust away.
Absolutely. So the big thing that I'm seeing nowadays is a lot of women are waking up to wanting to do kind parenting and wanting to have their baby, following their primal instincts and the things that build the baby's nervous system, carrying the baby on you all the time, breastfeeding on demand, co-sleeping with the baby in the bed. This is primal. This is what builds a sense of trust and safety within that baby's nervous system and within the mother's. So what I'm seeing is women either realize this before they give birth and realize that a lot of their community is not on that page,
right,
and they're isolated, or they've got a loving family and a loving community and they give birth, and afterwards they start following their instincts and realize that a lot of the other mothers are not on the same page.
Yeah.
So this is where Dr. Megan Medina and I have decided to create this project,
Yes.
Mother Nourished.
I love it.
It's a platform that we're still composing at the moment for new moms who err more towards natural parenting, natural medicine. Dr. Megan Medina is a homeopath. She has 2 young children herself. Between the 2 of us, we have a lot of resources around health and nutrition and all the practical tools, but also around the emotional side, around the nervous system, around ways of doing kind parenting with our little people. So we've realized that you could possibly live down the road from somebody who's on the same page as you, and you might not know it.
So true.
Yeah, so we're wanting to connect all of these women, and hopefully within that global connection, you start finding people in your area as well, but we're also going to bring in experts to share beautiful information around breastfeeding and sleep.
And it was so vital for me, especially in the first year of Isla's life. I mean, even now, I'm very privileged to have you as a friend, and I know not everyone has that privilege, but to be able to message a mama who I trust, and I know parents and thinks on the same wavelength as me, to be like, shit, I'm not sure if this is okay.
Yeah.
Or Isla just did this, should I be concerned?
Yeah.
Even just that, and even if your response is, oh, that's totally fine, or whatever, just to have that community.
Because we're flying blind as new mothers.
Exactly.
We've never seen breastfeeding before. We've usually never seen birth before.
Right.
We don't know when a child's sick. We don't know what's normal and what's not normal and what our options are. It's the same as healing the hormones. We don't know. We are flying blind. we're hitting a point, it's like this new wave is coming of going back to the old wisdoms and bringing in the new tools to create this conscious evolution in motherhood. But who are the people doing it?
And also, I think completely debunking this thing that we have to have it all and know it all. And I think that stops so many mamas from reaching out and connecting, even within the groups of mamas who are, you know, on the same wavelength, because
that perfectionism,
exactly,
it devours you.
I don't want to be the one that feels like, oh, I don't know how to treat my child's cough, or my child, I mean, I'm doing attachment parenting, but my child's still having meltdowns, or whatever, you know, and I'm like, screw that, you know, needing community like trumps all of that.
Motherhood is vulnerable.
Exactly.
It is vulnerable, but you need to find the people that you can trust. If you go and you get a checkup with a local nurse and she's like, have you started sleep training yet? And remember to do top-ups with formula during the day. This is the advice that is still common knowledge in the medical world and in a lot of the postpartum world. And that's not healthy advice, and it's not safe for moms that are wanting to do things a different way. So,
but it does make you question yourself, right? If you're starting on this path of, you know, wanting to do things a different way, and then, like you said, you go to your, you know, nurse for a checkup, whatever, and she's telling you these different information, but she's the nurse, right? She's the authority
or the pediatrician.
Figure. Exactly. You know, they're the ones that know what's happening. And who am I now listening to a podcast where two women are telling me, you know, maybe I can do things differently the way I feel I should.
Yeah.
You know, it's really hard.
It's so hard, and it took me a long time to realize how hard, because I've had this community around me for 20 years of women that have all parented this way and all done home births. And as I said, it's like my normal little bubble is not the norm. So it took me until I had my daughter and connecting with other women to really realize how vulnerable you are and how little access you have to other people wanting to do things differently. So your whole body is wired to do things this natural way, and yet you may be completely isolated and not know where to start. What are the names of things? You might not know the word attachment parenting. Or,
or homeopathics.
Or homeopathics, or bone broth.
Even me with homeopathic, I'm still like, the NC, you know, you know what I mean? It's still confusing, and then I'm like, you know, is this the right thing? You know? But I'm privileged to have that access to someone who knows.
Well, this is my gift, right? Is finding the professionals that we can trust. Finding the resources, the modalities, the names of things. So that's my gift to a lot of my clients, is actually giving them
the resources.
The resources, exactly. And then we each choose what works for us. But debunking the mother perfection is so huge. So huge. Like, that we are living in a time where no mother has had this amount of pressure on her in history. Like, never before have we worked full-time and being mothers. Never before have we had the whole world watching the way we mother and imprinting massive expectations on us, or being living a place where you've got so many different kinds of communities around and everybody's saying different. You're getting so many different pieces of advice. It's really overwhelming.
I have to say, though, I think one of the best pieces of advice you gave me that I wish I could pass on to as many mamas as possible is from the moment I told you that we are trying to have a baby. You told me, do whatever you can so that you and Gail can both have at least 6 months off work. And it was radical, and it was life-changing. And then we were gifted the pandemic, and I say gifted because it really was a gift to us as having a baby smack bang in the middle of this pandemic. But, you know, we had planned that 6 months, and I know that's not maybe an option for everyone, but I think there are ways that you can financially allow yourself to have a bit more of a breathing space than just your work determines.
We need to, if you're wanting to have a family, if you're prepping for that, changing your priorities is really like, which is more important? having 6 months with your child or having a really fancy car.
Yeah.
You know, like really look where your money is going, because there is no greater investment for you, for the mother being able to be well and energized and happy for the rest of her life.
For the rest of, exactly. Like we need to think about that. You are a mother for the rest of your life.
Yes.
And what you do today affects, your next month and your next year.
Exactly. Your postpartum is such a huge tipping point in your life. It's a make it or break it moment.
Absolutely.
If you take care of yourself during that time, you are laying a foundation that you can sustain for the rest of your life. If you push yourself in those first weeks and months, it is going to bite you on the butt for I don't know how long. It's way harder to repair from that than to actually create that.
And this is the thing, is that I think women are jumping into this bounce back culture, whatever it is, I can have it all, I can do it all.
It's a travesty.
And it's great because you might have the energy to do all of that for the first few months, but how is that going to have knock-on effects on you later
somebody
on?
said to me once, before I had my daughter, she said, you've got to remember that the oxytocin that you are experiencing, the flood of energy and joy when this new baby arrives, is about building the bond between you and the baby and your partner. It's about building the family. If you use that energy, because if you have a good birth, you're very likely to have the surge of energy. Yes. If you use that energy for people pleasing, for work, for others,
yes,
you're depleting your foundation. You can't repair from that very easily. So know that amazing surge of, oxytocin is the love hormone. It is an energizing hormone, and it helps you sleep well, it helps you have energy during the day. It's incredible. You can literally be on cloud 9.
Yep.
Total and utter bliss. It's there to help you through the times when your baby is screaming nonstop from teething, or it has a fever, or you've got mastitis, or like the physical challenges, never mind the emotional challenges of parenthood, are radical. So we need the good to build our ability to get through those really challenging times. And if you use those resources on going back to work after 6 weeks, I don't know what's going to happen long term. Because parenting is for life.
And it
doesn't get easier per se.
It doesn't, and it's so tragic, like deeply, like hurts my soul that women I know and love have no choice but to go back to work. After,
Yeah. So if you have the privilege of preparing, prepare well.
Exactly. So now let's talk about solo parenting.
Ew. Yeah. I was not prepared for that.
Who is?
Nobody
is. But, I just want to say that to me, you are like the ultimate mom. Like, you really are. I look at you and I have so much admiration and so much respect for you as a mom. And I know you don't get everything right. I know you're human. But I just have so much respect for how you have approached motherhood and how you're raising your beautiful little human. But knowing you as a friend, I also know that there's been lots of challenges on that journey. And it's important to talk about it because you have navigated them well. And I know there are many other women facing the same challenges.
Yeah, there's a lot of us out there.
There's a lot of it out there. I could never attempt to be in your shoes, but I have had my fair share of solo parenting.
You have.
With Gail being away.
Yeah.
So I know what it's like, but I know it's also very different, for you. So let's talk a bit about the challenges that you faced as a solo parent. What are your tools? How have you navigated some of that, I suppose?
Sure. So I am blessed that the father of my child lives down the road, which is really helpful.
Yeah.
And he's a very good father. So I do have that kind of support.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, I think the main thing with solo parenting is just figuring out how to prioritize every moment, because you've got to drop so many balls.
Right.
You've got to, my house is hardly ever tidy except for when my clients come.
Right.
Right? I don't have a dishwasher.
Right.
So the dishes get done when I have energy. I prioritize my sleep. I'm in bed at 9 o'clock every night.
Okay.
That is huge.
That's huge.
I prioritize taking my time in the morning. I don't have rushed mornings. I take my time getting into my body, having a decent breakfast. When my child's with me, we have snuggle time in bed for a while. We'll read a book. We're walking around in our pajamas for as long as we can. We have playtime before she goes to kindergarten. I keep it as relaxed as possible. When she's not with me, it's like my brain goes, work, 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 work.
Right.
And I have to calm it down and go, work, and have I got decent food in the house? I need to get into nature today. I haven't been that's something that I try and prioritize, is getting into nature every day, even if it's 20 minutes. And I'm blessed that I live down the road from a beautiful common and from the beach.
Right.
A lot of the time that getting into nature is with her. And I try and absorb the environment myself for me and fuel myself with that, as well as enjoying her play space in nature. So we spend a lot of time outdoors. When I'm not with her, I function at a faster pace. And I have to remind myself, when I take her in my arms, when she comes back to me, I got to slow my rhythm down. Otherwise, you get irritated with your kids. So the problem with co-parenting is that realigning to your child's rhythm. If I have her all the time, then I'm much better than this fragmented backwards and forwards. It's incredibly challenging. Every mom knows that's solo parenting or co-parenting. So yeah, it's like you're literally straddling two worlds. It's like, this is my energy when I'm alone. And I mean, you have that when you go off to work and when you come back.
Right.
You've got to like get back into being able to meet your child and be present with your child.
And let go of your work and your day.
Yeah.
And what has to happen.
But I'm often replying to a client while my child is playing. If she is clear that she's needing my attention, I don't look at the phone.
Right.
But she sees me on the phone way too much more than I would like.
Yeah. But that's life.
And that's life, you know. And there's times where we're buying takeaway food that I wouldn't normally eat because that's all I can deal with in that moment.
Exactly.
You know?
And I think that's so important. You know, I think women, moms, can look at someone like you and me, you more than me, you know, who seem to be doing all the things that they want to do right. And I think it's so important to let mamas know that this is what we aim for.
Yeah.
This is what we strive for.
Yeah.
We are human.
Yeah.
Life gets in the way. You know, there's so many factors that come into play.
Yeah.
You know, we may not always afford to buy organic.
Absolutely.
You know, we may, like you said, order takeout.
Yeah.
You know, because we are exhausted.
Yeah.
And this is all we can manage right now. That's okay.
Yeah.
You know, because the rest of the week I have been able to cook beautiful meals.
80-20 is a good principle.
You know, and I think it's also caused some fragmentation even within my circle of friends, where, you know, people think you have it all together.
Yeah, no.
And I don't think anyone has it all
I
together.
don't think any mother has it all together.
Exactly, especially when you're a mom, I think it's actually impossible
No.
to have it all together, because, you know, one day you wake up and you think, I got this, and your child will throw like something else at you.
Oh gosh, yes.
And you're like completely floored, and you're like, well, there goes that day.
So I have no problem with dropping everything if my child needs me.
Okay.
Like, I will move frigging Instagram lives or whatever. But in the beginning, I prioritized her so much that I wasn't aware where I was at.
Right.
I didn't give space for the healing that I needed after the breakup. And that was a big part of why my nervous system collapsed.
So how do you find the balance with that now going forward, with yourself and with your work? Because your work is important, and you do have people relying on you.
Yeah.
You know, so...
I don't know if I ever find the balance, but...
How do you strive to find the balance?
Yeah, I do have like allotted time that is time for clients, time for me. So when I hand her over, then I'll try and go for a walk on the beach before I get into work mode,
right.
That kind of thing. I don't always get it right, but yeah, having some kind of structure. If I'm really at a low space, I will cancel clients. I won't push through. If, you know, sometimes I can work when I haven't had a lot of sleep, but if I'm not feeling well, if my nervous system starts dysregulating, I listen to my body and I trust. So I put health in front of money.
Right.
I put health in front of, and connection with my child in front of my reputation. If people judge me for cancelling or moving things, amazingly, most of my clients are also mothers, but none of my clients have actually judged me since I started really honoring myself.
Have you ever had someone that's like really desperate? Like that will push you on, like if you say, I can't do this right now, and they're like, I'm dying, I'm in pain, I need this, I need that.
I had that a long time ago with a workshop that I was supposed to teach, and my child was sick. And she was also a mother, and she said, bring her with you. Elia was 18 months old. And it was the worst choice. I said yes. I didn't honor my own. I was exhausted. I had a migraine. Wow. And my child was sick, and I wasn't at home either. We were away. There were too many factors. Yeah. And I didn't honor my boundaries, and it flattened me for a week afterwards. Wow. I mean, it's hard enough trying to teach a workshop with an 18-month-old in your lap.
I don't know how you did that.
No,
I mean,
it was very stupid to not realize how important it was to say no, you know, and just to really honor my head was like, well, she's also a mom, and she's also working with natural women's work and whatever. It's a safe space to go into. She'll be able to hold, but she couldn't.
Yeah, she was busy focusing on the event.
And she kept saying, let me take the child. I'm like, but she's sick. There's no way she's going to you right now. So that's not going to work. So to be held properly, I should have just said no and stayed home and rested.
What do you think?
Learn.
We do. Eventually. What do you think are some of the biggest mistakes women are making postpartum?
Yeah, definitely this idea that we're supposed to be able to do it all. Biggest fallacy on the planet. You know, how many hours is it that it takes for breastfeeding in the first year?
It's something ridiculous.
But it's basically the same as a 9-to-5 job.
Exactly.
Okay. Because mothering is not just 9 to 5, it's 24/7. So that's it. It's self-abuse, essentially. Society is encouraging women to half kill themselves to be the perfect mother, the perfect partner, and the perfect
But this is
employee.
my thing, Kheryne.
No.
We can have it all, sure. We are very capable, but why would we want to put ourselves through that?
Are we going to enjoy it?
This is my thing. I think this conversation needs to be shifted around. Yes, we want to feel like empowered women, and women are capable of insane things.
Absolutely.
It's not about questioning, can women have it all? Are we capable?
But insane things for short periods of time.
Yeah.
We can't push for 10 years.
Exactly. Why would we want to do that?
Why would we
want to impose that on ourselves? Who are we trying to impress?
I didn't have to work for 9 months after my child was born. And
amazing.
even then, it was sort of incrementally stepping back into
Same
some
with
kind
me.
of...
I mean,
Firstly, my brain didn't work on a work level. I don't know how anybody would be doing accounting or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
With postpartum brain, not for the first 2 years. So I was really blessed that I had time to build my resources and be present with my child and with myself. And that was still radical. Without that pressure, it was still radical. The one thing I will say is there is a creative energy. If you have the space postpartum, if you don't have pressure on you, there's a creative energy that comes through in motherhood.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I started writing down the postpartum work that I'm using nowadays 2 months after she was born.
Wow.
It was just so clear that this was important work that I was going to use at some point.
I mean, motherhood does crack you open in
It
a very
cracks you
special
open.
way.
So it's not that you can't be creative or productive or do other things apart from being a present mother.
Yeah.
It's just what things. The amount of women I know that have done a radical career shift after giving birth,
Wow.
it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Like my friend at the moment, Michaela, who has the My Boom bra.
Yes.
So she went from hardcore digital marketing corporate to, hey, we need comfortable, sustainable bras for moms.
Here we go.
And
Let me
she's
do that.
loving it.
Wow.
She's going to go and study all these amazing breastfeeding courses and like,
I love that.
because we need it.
Yeah.
It's a more important job anyway.
Exactly. You know, and one that's feeding her soul in a different way.
Exactly.
And I think that was the biggest thing, like with becoming a mom for me. It cracked me open. It really set my priorities straight.
Right.
You know, it's like, yes, I love being an actor, and this is what, you know, it's a big part of my calling. But in what ways do I want to channel that calling?
Yes.
You know, and what else can I do with my gift?
Yeah.
You know, and birthing something like this into life, which is hugely a part of my core. Like, this feels so aligned.
Absolutely.
You know, and I'm willing to put in the work, and I'm willing to do all the things, and it feeds my soul rather than drains me.
And this is the thing, is motherhood is an opportunity to connect with your truth in a way that it can be even ruthless.
Completely.
It's so powerful. So it's not that you are this little stay-at-home mom with, you know, makes tea and potters about and never has a life. It's that your passion, your drive, your productivity are there for things that are true for you. And I feel like mothers are going to change the world when they start listening to that.
Completely.
Because we don't have to exist in a paradigm that doesn't serve everybody. We can recreate this reality, so there are so many different facets that actually support every kind of person out there.
Exactly.
You know? We're living in a time where we've got so many options to how we structure work and what kind of work we want to do, and there's so many possibilities. It's exquisite. So mothers are not slaves to their children. They are able to be fully empowered by this journey, and they're able to find a depth of trust in themselves that their child mirrors back to them that they may not have been able to access before.
Completely. It was so that for me. It was such a coming into myself.
Yeah.
Becoming a mom, and it was a stripping away of all the masks, and like you said, just really seeing the truth and how much power my truth holds in this world. And motherhood has been the most challenging thing I've ever had to experience in my life, but also the most empowering thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I wanted to be that for every woman, because I know it holds that potential. But we got to get out of our own way, man.
We've got to drop the programming.
We got to drop the programming.
We've got to drop it.
And it's hard. It really is hard.
It's really
because
hard.
we're bombarded by it every single day. This is the thing.
Yeah, especially when you have the well-meaning neighbor coming around and saying, "Oh, do you realize how spoilt you are? The fact you don't have to go back to work.
I know.
And you should
All these
really be
things
doing
going-
more for your man."
Yeah.
Like it impact you so wide open after you give birth that those comments impact you so deeply. So we've got so much intensity in so many directions. We've got the ability to connect with our truth in a deeper way, and we're also so vulnerable to these outside comments. And so we've really got to choose who we surround ourselves with.
Yeah.
It really comes down to that. You want people that are going to believe in you and mirror your truth back to you.
So probably a great way to round up this conversation is then, how do you think we cultivate community in our everyday life?
Whew. It's not easy.
So not easy.
It's not easy. It depends on the kind of person you are, I think. I mean, for me, I will easily chat to women in the playground. But it's often scary because if you connect with a new friend and you're vulnerable with them and you say, sure, I'm so exhausted. And they go, well, why don't you night wean?
Yeah.
Come on, like, you're telling me you're exhausted. Well, you actually just need somebody to go, sure, I know, it's hectic.
Exactly. Exactly.
So we've got to, I think knowing the names of the kind of fields that resonate with you. So we've got attachment parenting, responsive parenting, RIE, aware parenting. I mean, the list is really, really long. Like there's somebody I'm following on Instagram at the moment called, her handle is Raising Humans Kind.
Oh yes, I love that.
She's amazing. She's a child psychologist and she's in Australia and she's absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, I find Instagram amazing for connecting with like-minded mothers and professionals, but I know who to look for.
Right.
I think it takes finding one person. Like as you said, you had me and I went,
exactly.
Here's your repertoire.
And now I like also listen for like you said, those keywords. If I hear mama talking about, I'm like, oh, you're still breastfeeding? It's like 2 years. And I'm like, you can't, my kind of mama, you know?
Yes. So you can almost put a list of like questions for when you first meet a mom, you know? Like just like gentle inquiry because you're very vulnerable. It's like being in the school playground. At 6 years old trying to make a new friend. You're that vulnerable, you know? And you're vulnerable more so because they can criticize the way that you parent your child as well as have an impact on you as a person. So it is a navigation, but it's also very beautiful because there are more women out there than you realize that are on this page. Most of them just aren't speaking up. So this is why we're putting this platform together so that they can meet each other.
Come together.
I know.
It's going to be so wonderful.
We're working on it.
I can't wait.
Yeah, and other ways, check out what moms groups are out there and see what kind of subjects they're talking about. I mean, a lot of moms groups are still very mainstream.
Yeah, very.
But there might be one or two that are doing like
aligned with what you are doing.
Yeah. Like RIE, I can't remember what it stands for, but it's Janet Lansbury's. It's respectful parenting, and it starts from babies onwards, and that's focused on groups. So there are RIE facilitators around the world.
Wow.
Where moms can take their little babies or their toddlers, and they do.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
That's really lovely.
Yeah. So there are little things out there, but I personally do find social media useful if you know what you're looking for.
And it is that thing, I think, of finding the one mom or the two moms, because they will always have friends.
Yes.
And they will always know things, and then those friends will have friends, you know, and then it just kind of, you know, filters out like that, which is very cool.
And giving yourself permission to go and make new friends. Yeah. Not feeling like you have to do it all by yourself.
Yeah.
We're not designed to do it all by ourselves.
Exactly. And I think it's been so wonderful as well when you really find those mamas that align with you. It's like how lovely it is to sink into that truth.
Yeah.
And that vulnerability.
Oh, safe space.
And like not worrying about like you know, my child's just been sick for 3 weeks, but your child's never been sick for like 3 years of her life. Or,
the comparisons.
Or the comparisons, and, you know, should I feel bad about this? Or, you know, I just took an antibiotic and you've never taken, like, you know, all of these things that we like.
We have to have compassion for each other's realnesses.
Exactly.
You know? And if you're around women that are going to compare and criticize, it's not the right people.
No.
Even if they are using natural parenting principles, if they're getting rigid and evangelistic about it, then that's not serving anybody.
No.
No.
We've got to hold compassion for other moms. I think that's so important.
Yeah.
My friend, I love you so much.
I love you so much.
This has been such a treat. It will not be the last time that you guys see Cairn on Chat and Chai, because we have so much to talk about. This episode could easily have been 5 hours long.
Very easily.
But we will spare you guys that and do it in segments.
Segments.
I suppose. But thank you for your time.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you for your light in this world and in my life. I treasure you more than you know, really, I do.
Ditto.
Okay. Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
Wow, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to that episode as much as I did. I just love diving deep into these conversations with incredible women. If this podcast meant something to you, then you can do 2 things for us. You can please give us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. This is really the best way to help support the podcast and help us to grow. And secondly, you can go and follow us on Instagram at Chat and Chai. We really do share some incredible content on there that really adds value to your life, I hope. And we love engaging with our Chat and Chai tribe. So give us a follow and let's connect over Instagram. Much love from my heart to yours. Until our next Chat and Chai.